Hi students, welcome to Easy Chemistry by Patan, and today we are going to start a new topic in isomerism, that is optical isomerism. And in this video I am going to discuss in detail about optical isomerism basics, optical activity, chiral center, enantiomers. So optical isomerism, we have optical isomers. Optical isomers. What are optical isomers? So you know very well, isomers means having same molecular formula and accordingly different structure, different functional group like that. And here optical isomers means having same molecular formula, same molecular formula and same structural formula, same structural formula, same structural formula. Clear? Same molecular formula, same structural formula. Structure also same only. But what is the difference means, the main property of optical isomers, they are differ in their behavior towards light. So optical isomerism depending on the light, same molecular formula, same structural formula, but differ in their behavior towards light. You remember one thing, optical isomers having almost same physical and chemical properties also. Physical and chemical properties also, almost 90%. Somewhere 1-2 exceptions are there. Same physical and chemical properties also. The main difference is differ in their behavior towards the light. Towards the light means we have to learn nature of the light. We have to discuss about nature of the light. So let me discuss nature of light a little bit, and which can help for us to understand betterly about optical isomerism. So what we have to learn means, you know the nature of light. Light is, that is ordinary light or light, electromagnetic wave in the form of electromagnetic wave. Means to move one place to another place, for electromagnetic waves no need medium. No need medium. To pass electromagnetic waves one place to another place, no need of any medium. You go for sound, we need the medium, but here medium no need. You know the normal light or ordinary light. Ordinary light. Ordinary light. So ordinary light we all experienced in the daily life. Ordinary light. And source of ordinary light, I am taking sunlight. I am taking sunlight. See here, this is the source of sunlight, and vibrations in all direction. In all direction. Ordinary light moving, that is oscillation we are calling. In all direction. In all direction means there is no difference. There is no difference means this is we are calling unpolarized. Normally ordinary light, sunlight I took here, and it is oscillating in all directions without any deviation. Such we are calling unpolarized. Unpolarizing means not in particular direction, not in one direction, in all direction. When this ordinary light when we pass through Nicol prism, this ordinary light getting into polarization means unpolarized light converting into polarization. Let me see what is this. See here, Nicol prism made with calcium carbonate. Here I am taking Nicol prism, and here I am taking ordinary light which is oscillating in all directions. This is we are calling unpolarized. This is sunlight I am taking, source of light, and this is Nicol prism. And what this Nicol prism will do means it cut all vibrations except any one plane. See here, this unpolarized light you are getting like this. Unpolarized light you are getting like this. This is we are calling polarized light or plane polarized light. In simple manner, we are calling PPL, plane polarized light. Why we are calling plane polarized means, see, this is in all directions. This is we are calling unpolarized, means not in one plane. In all planes it is. When we pass through Nicol prism, it is polarized in one direction. In one plane only. So when we pass from this Nicol prism, what it will do? It cut that is, it cut off all vibrations except for any one plane. What it will do? It cut all vibrations except any one plane. It will release one plane only. So it is polarized. That's why we are calling plane polarized light. Polarization nothing but moving to one side in one plane. Like this, normal ordinary light can be converted to plane polarized light. Based on this plane polarized light, we can understand easily optical isomers. But to know optical activity or a compound is optically active. A compound is optically active. When we can say a compound is optically active means it should satisfy some properties. So what are the properties means? The most important property is disymmetry. Disymmetry nothing but generally we are calling unsymmetry. What we are calling unsymmetry. The next property is chirality. Next property is chirality. And the third property we have, that is non-superimposability. Non-superimposability. If a compound showing unsymmetry, chirality, non-superimposability, then that compound is optically active. If it is optically active, then we are saying that is optical isomer. So, let me discuss these three properties to describe optical isomers. I am trying to explain in detail these three properties. First property I am taking here, that is symmetry, unsymmetry. That is disymmetry or unsymmetry. Unsymmetry is must to show optical isomerism. But how can we address means? It is very easy. See here, first I am taking a symmetrical molecule. See here, a symmetrical molecule I am taking here 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 molecules arranged in a systematic manner. A ordinary light is passed through that crystal and it is moving like this, and it is moving in same direction. Due to symmetry, light is not affected. This is unaffected. So light not changed any its direction. It is moving in direction here only. This is we are calling symmetry. Due to symmetry, light is unaffected. You go for here. I am taking a molecule. Here one, and here one, here one, and here one. Clear? And here one I am taking now, and here one I am taking. When I pass now, normal light, and it is moving on like this, and moving, means it is affected. Means it is changing its direction. When it changed its direction, that is we are calling unsymmetry. If light changed its direction, that is we are calling unsymmetry. So if you want to show the molecule it is optically active means it show compulsory, it should show compulsory unsymmetry. In unsymmetrical molecules only, that is disymmetry molecules only, we can discuss optical activity. The second property we have, most important property, that is chiral center. Chiral center. This is the most important property for optical isomerism. Chiral center. We completed unsymmetry or disymmetry. Now the property is chiral center. How can we address chiral center? Means the central atom should having sp3 hybridization, and all valencies, that is 4 valencies, generally carbon, 4 valencies should satisfy. sp3 nothing but all 4 valencies should satisfy. And 4 valencies should satisfy with different atoms or groups. This is very important. So how can you address the chiral center? A central atom with sp3, nothing but 4 valencies should satisfy. That 4 valencies should be different atom or groups. Now I am taking example here. See here, carbon atom I am taking. It is bonded with 4 groups, A, B, C, D. So carbon now here, sp3 hybridization with 4 sigma bonds. That's why sp3 hybridization, 4 valence is satisfied with the different groups or atoms. That's why this carbon center is chiral center. Clear? And this carbon center is there now. This is chiral center. 4 atoms or groups are different. That's why this center we are calling chiral center. Now taking example, go for here, and this carbon bonded with methyl group, and here hydrogen, and here hydrogen, here OH group. See here, sp3 only, no doubt, but here same groups are there. So it is not chiral. It is not a chiral center. So go for sp3 is there, 4 sigma bonds, but groups are different. Go for, I am taking here lactic acid. Carbon, COOH, and here CH3, and here OH, here H. See here, now this center COOH group, CH3, HOH. sp3 is there, and 4 different groups are there. So this is now chiral. Having chiral center is called chirality. Go for few more examples I will give for better understanding. Here one carbon, and here I am taking methyl group, and here I am taking ethyl group. C2H5. And here I am giving to you chlorine, and here I am giving to hydrogen. See here now. This is methyl, ethyl, chlorine, hydrogen. Clear? And go. This is now chiral center. This carbon is chiral. This carbon is chiral. And same I am taking here this carbon with CH3, and here CH3, and here chlorine, here hydrogen. Same groups are there. This is not chiral center, but this is chiral. This is chiral. This center is not chiral center now. Two same groups are there, but sp3 is there. Not only sp3, 4 different groups should bond. 4 different groups. Clear? 4 different groups. No chirality. Go for another example I am giving here. CH3 bond CH bond CH3 bond CH2 bond Cl. See this compound. 2-methyl, 2-methyl, that is 1-chloro, 1-chloro, 2-methyl propane. And here this carbon having 3 hydrogens. 3 hydrogens means no chance chirality. Here this carbon, 1 hydrogen, 1 methyl, 1 ethyl. So no chance. This carbon no chance. This carbon 2 hydrogens are there already. Same. So here also chiral center not there. Chiral center not there. Clear? Go for here. Another example I am giving. Cyclopropane. CH2 here. CH2 here. CH2 here. CH2 means 2 hydrogens now. Means same groups. Same groups are there. It is not chiral center. Go for another one. Cyclobutane. CH2, CH2, CH2. It is also not chiral. It is also not chiral. And go for this compound now. This compound. Here you take bromine, and here you take hydrogen. So here also chirality not there. Chirality not there. So no chiral center. No chiral center. Go for here. I am taking one example. One example to you. Cyclohexane. Cyclohexane. And here methyl group is there. And here methyl group is there. Now they are asking how many chiral centers are there here. How many chiral centers? You go for this carbon. This is CH2. Means 2 hydrogens are there. This is CH2. This is CH2. This is CH2. So no chance here. Now come to here. Here 1 hydrogen is there. Here 1 methyl group. 1 methyl group. And this is 1 bigger group. This is one bigger group. And same means this is 1 hydrogen, 1 methyl group, and here 1 methyl with hydrogen. With hydrogen. So this center is chiral center now. This center chiral. So here chirality is there. Here chirality. 2 chiral centers we have. But here CH2, 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 CH2. Same groups. But here different groups. So here in this example, we have 2 chiral centers. 2 chiral centers. So like this, we could able to check each and every carbon. That carbon should have 4 different. Here 1 methyl, 1 hydrogen, and here 1 carbon with 1 hydrogen and 1 methyl. This is one group. One group. This is one. This is one. Three. This is total 1, 2, 3, 4. Butyl. So this is butyl. This is methyl. This is methyl. This is hydrogen. 4 different groups are there. Similar here also. So 2 chiral centers are present. So I given nearly 10 examples for addressing chirality. So each and every carbon we have to check. It should contains different atoms or groups. Then only that center is chiral center. If chiral center is there, that we are calling chirality. That we are calling chirality. That is about unsymmetry and chiral center. Next, another property I given to you. I shown 3 properties to show the symmetry. What is that? Unsymmetry and symmetry, chirality, non-superimposability. Most important property in optical isomerism, non-superimposability. Non-superimposability. What is meant by non-superimposability? What is meant by non-superimposability? Let me go for that. We will discuss non-superimposability. Non-superimposability. If a compound wants to exhibit as optically active, it should be non-superimposability of their mirror image. So, non-superimposability of mirror images. So, non-superimposability of their mirror images is there. That is optically active center or optically active compound. What is non-superimposability? Let me discuss. Here I am taking a compound. Any compound. For example, I am taking any one lactic acid. Lactic acid. What I am taking? Lactic acid. I am taking here lactic acid. Example to show non-superimposability, lactic acid. I checked already, lactic acid is having chiral center. Chiral center. Look here, I am taking this carbon with 4 different groups. COOH, and here hydrogen, and here methyl group, and here OH group. OH group. This is we are calling lactic acid. What we are calling? Lactic acid. See, with the 4 different groups, a chiral center. Now mirror. See, here I am taking a mirror. A mirror. So generally, with light only we can explain optical isomerism. If you see from the mirror this compound, it will show like this. Means it appears like this. What it will appears? How it will appears? This carbon like this same, and this COOH group same. This hydrogen looking here, and this OH group same, and this methyl group looking here. Whenever we see from the mirror, left to right, right left we are addressing. Means this hydrogen here, this methyl group here. See, non-superimposability we can address easily with hands. With hands. See, this is my hand, this is another hand. Another hand. Clear? I will show very clearly to you what is non-superimposability. These 2 are hands. You place this right hand or left hand on another hand. See, I am placing like this. Like this. Clear? See, these 2 These two fingers are not coincide. These two fingers are not coincide. This is we are calling non-superimposability. Non-superimposability. Clear? See here. These two hands. I am placing on each other. Upon. And these two fingers not coincide each other. So this is non-superimposability. See here, now like this I am placing. See, all fingers are coincide each other. This is impossibility. Superimposability. This is we are calling superimposability. If I place like this, and these two fingers are not coincide, this is we are calling non-superimposability. Non-superimposability. But how we see with the help of mirrors means we have to rotate the compound. 180 degree. By rotating the compound 180 degree, then impossibility or non-superimposability we are checking. See, this compound not having same hydrogen, this methyl this side. So if you place now this compound on this hydrogen will come here. That is clear. But by rotating 180 degree. See, if you rotate this compound 180, this COH group come here, this OH group come here. Then what happened? These two not superimposed now. If I rotate 180 degree this compound like this COH group come to here, this OH group come to here. Then these two are not coincide. This is we are calling non-superimposable mirror images. When non-superimposable mirror images are there, those are optically active. So chiral center is there, optically active. Unsymmetry is there, optically active. Non-superimposability of mirror images is there, optically active. Clear? Like this we can see. Now you go for that. Here we discussed optical activity and chirality. Another I am going to given to you enantiomers. So initially I told and we are going to discuss today enantiomers. What is meant by enantiomers means? Look here. Very easy to address enantiomers. Enantiomers means pair of optical isomers. Enantiomers nothing but a pair of optical isomers which are non-superimposable mirror images. So non-superimposable mirror images is there optically active. These two compounds are optically active and these two are optical isomers. If any a pair of optical isomers which are non-superimposable mirror images, such we are calling enantiomers. What are the properties of these enantiomers means? Enantiomers means they differ in rotation. They differ in rotation of plane polarized light. Clear? So they rotate the plane polarized in different and almost having same physical and chemical properties. What is rotation here means, I will explain how compounds will rotate plane polarized light into different. Clear? See, generally optical isomerism due to light. How they will measure the polarity means, polarity will be measured by using polarimeter. By using polarimeter they will measure the polarity. See, ordinary light I shown previously already, which is oscillating in different direction or all direction, we can say all directions. When we pass through Nicol prism, this is sunlight, this is Nicol prism made with calcium carbonate. When we pass, you are getting PPL light. Means it cut all vibrations, only it allow single plane. If this single plane light, that is PPL light, you pass through polarimeter tube. This is the polarimeter tube. We took the compound solution. Polarimeter tube. To show the optical activity, we have to fill the solution in polarimeter tube. When we pass this light through this polarimeter tube, 3 observations we can see. Results. One is unaffected. Means how PPL light is there, same. Another one is PPL light going to be moved into clockwise direction. Another is PPL light moving or affecting by anti-clock direction. If the PPL light not affected, means not moving in any other direction, that is we are calling optically inactive. So no effect. If the PPL light rotated by this solution or compound to clockwise or anti-clock, that compound is optically active. This is also optically active. If PPL is rotated by the compound to clockwise or anti-clockwise, then the compound is optically active. Clockwise rotation showing dextrorotatory and anti-clock rotation levorotatory. Means dextrorotatory nothing but clockwise side affection, that is affected moving to clockwise. This is we are calling D form, and levorotation L form. D form showing with the plus, L form showing with minus. So when we pass PPL light through the compound by using polarimeter tube, and the compounds you are getting 2 forms. One is D form and the next one is L form. D form nothing but dextrorotatory, L form nothing but levorotatory. Dextrorotatory positive, levorotatory negative. These two are optically active. optically active. If the light not affected, that is optically inactive. So like this they decide the compound is optically active or not. Theoretically we can't say which is D form, which is L form. See here, these two are optical isomers. And I can say this is a D form, this is L form. Or this is a D form, this is L form. By looking into the compound, we are unable to judge which is a D form, which is L form. We have to show completely practical data. So we have to fill the compound, we have to pass PPL light, then PPL light is rotated by the compound into clockwise direction, then that is dextro, anti-clock direction levo. And theoretically we can't show and which is the D and which is L. It is completely practically we have to prove. Clear? But we can say two forms you are getting. Optical active compounds are two forms. One is a dextro form, another levo form. Dextro form plus or small d, levo form minus small l. Small l. So today we completed, that is, one is optically active, then is chiral center, chirality. The next one is enantiomers. Enantiomers are optically active isomers which are non-superimposable mirror images. We will discuss in coming class in detail about enantiomers. So you have to concentrate more about here. What is optical activity? Optical activity. Optical isomers. Same molecular formula, same structural formula also. But the difference is behavior towards the light. And they even having same physical and chemical properties also. So to address optical isomerism, we need the knowledge of nature of light. Nature of light what? Light generally electromagnetic wave. No need to any medium. Ordinary light. If the source of sunlight we have, it is unpolarized. If this unpolarized light we pass through Nicol prism, it will be polarized. It will be polarized. Clear? And to show the optical active, a compound is optically active or not, we have to check unsymmetry, chirality, non-superimposability. These three properties are there, that compound is optically active. And next video will discuss in detail about enantiomers and remaining other optical, how to calculate optical number of optical isomers. These all will discuss in detail. Thank you.